I have always wanted to take students to Cuba. I've been studying Cuba since the 1990s, since I was in graduate school. And to study Cuba has always been kind of a lonely experience. You're going there alone because you can't take your family, you can't take your friends because of the embargo. You're always kind of working in isolation, and for a long time I just worked in isolation, and it didn't really occur to me that I could share Cuba with lots of other people. Well, thanks to what's happened during the last year, thanks to President Obama, thanks to President Castro, thanks to the work of all kinds of people who have been building bridges between the United States and Cuba, suddenly it's possible now to take large groups of students for short periods of time, and I thought, we've got to do that.
My name is Nick Gilliam.
My name? Joshua Lee Watson.
Tell us your name.
Ariel Michelle.
I'm expecting to find, without sounding too cliched, a lot of life.
There's a lot of different new people, cultures. I'm ready to embrace that. I'm ready to dive in.
I want it to be really rich and exciting. I feel like the music's going to be really lively.
I'm a little apprehensive, but I'm sure we're going to find lots of time to talk to people and dance with people. And that was one of the things I'm excited about.
And the art's going to be very colorful. There's going to be a lot of pop and everything.
I think my main thing I worry about most is just communication.
I can't communicate with anybody there really, past easy hellos.
I would say the thing I'm most apprehensive about is not being able to communicate with language.
I think after I get back from Cuba, I'm going to be more empathetic.
While I'm there, I certainly expect to become a better dancer.
And I'll be able to take that and apply it to my life and be able to be more humble and be able to help others around me.
And gain an appreciation for a culture that we really don't have any contact with.
I knew that if we took students to Cuba, we had to take travelers, not tourists. I knew that if we took students, we had to take them as people who wanted to learn about Cuba, who wanted to learn about Cubans, who wanted as immersive an experience as possible. Fundamentally, we wanted to take students who would be the kinds of Americans the Cubans would think well of, the kinds of students the Cubans would want to have back. We weren't going to take just anyone who wanted to go. We needed students who were intrepid. We needed students who were willing to take risks. We needed students who understood that when they went to Cuba, they were going to be ambassadors not just for the university. They were going to be ambassadors for the United States. They were going to be people who were helping to mend a troubled relationship. So this course was enrollment by permission of instructor only. And we only took students who said to us that they were ready for the kinds of challenges that Cuba was going to produce. We didn't want students who wanted to be comfortable. We didn't want students who were going to act like the students were there to serve them. We wanted students who were there to take risks, to be uncomfortable, and who were cognizant of the fact that they were going to Cuba at a very unique place and time. We wanted students who were going to open themselves to everything that Cuba had to teach them. We wanted people who were not going to be afraid, even if they didn't speak Spanish, to talk to Cubans. We didn't want students who were going to go there and make value judgments about communism or about Castro. We wanted students who were going to go there and open their eyes and try and see Cuba for what it really is.
So we're going to go around the circle and talk a little bit about what you've seen so far and sort of maybe what impact that has had on you already, or what curiosities it's raised.
Today I've just zoned out a lot, and that's just because I'm trying to take everything in. You know what I mean? So
like there are moments I'm just sitting and I'm like,
I couldn't understand. All I understood him saying was Havana. But I know he was telling me to slow down. It's Havana, it's Havana.
The other thing I noticed was when we were at our casa, we were talking with our Renee, yeah, the guy who owned it, and I think he's maybe spoke 10 words of English, but we were still able to pick stuff out. So the communication wasn't actually as hard as I thought it would be without it.
I don't know, I've seen pictures of Havana and just all the colors and just the vibrancy of the whole place was just kind of shocking, And
I think what stuck out to me was talking with Alejandro at the restaurant. He mentioned that he felt that Cuba was somewhere between capitalism and communism, which is a stark contrast from what we're sort of taught just in general in the United States. People think about Cuba and they think about it being this, like communist country where like nobody has any freedom, but Alejandro was talking about sort of this transition that they're in that isn't quite as like, awful communist as people in the United States seem to think it's
time, but really just about the simplicity and the feeling really guilty about like throwing away all that food. I feel like an asshole. Sorry.
Yeah. I ate past I was full because I didn't want to waste food.
I don't know, I just think we have a very wrong image of what Cuba really is in the US. And so it's nice to, even in this first day, sort of have the stereotype wipes clean.
What I saw today, which I'm a little bit different boat, what I saw today were 15 highly curious, energetic people engaging with something I truly love, which is Cuba. And that was very gratifying to me. We didn't want students to stay in hotels. Instead, we had students stay with Cubans in what are called casas particulares, which is private homes where Cuban families have licenses to host foreigners. We didn't want them to have this tourist feel. We never wanted students to be lounging by a pool. We wanted students to be out and engaged with Cubans, and we wanted students to have to engage with Cubans in their own homes. We also, as much as possible, wanted to get away from taking big buses. If you've ever been to Havana, all throughout Havana, there are these big buses with tinted windows and air conditioning, and they say Havana Tour or some other tour company on the side. They might as well say turistas. These buses just label the people inside as being privileged, as being cut off from Cubans. That is exactly what we wanted to get away from. So as much as possible, we took taxis, we took buses without air conditioning, and the students loved that. The students actually said they wanted more of that on those couple of occasions when we did get air-conditioned buses. They said, hey, let's not do that. We want to we want to feel like we're more part of the Cuban experience. Now, don't misunderstand me. It wasn't like it was all work and no play. We did give the students some time to do some fairly typical recreational things in Cuba. For example, we did spend a day at the beach. A lot of them went snorkeling, and they were really happy with that. We also went horseback riding. We toured the tobacco countryside in a province called Pinar del Rio, which is to the west of Havana. So we did get out. We did have some recreation, as we would commonly understand the term. But I was really proud of the students for understanding that even as they recreated, they were privileged. They understood the privilege that they enjoyed. One of the students used the term tourism apartheid, because in Cuba, a lot of those tourist experiences are open only to people who have hard currency. The majority of the Cubans couldn't afford to go to a beach and do the kinds of things that they did. The highlight of the trip was a visit to the artistic community of Macau in the southern part of the island. That was the highlight of the trip. That was the single best part of the trip because the students got to make cross-cultural connections without any barriers of tourism. Tourists don't go to Macau. Macau is this community of artists, of dancers, of actors, of musicians who are there to create works of art that they will then travel around Cuba and share. We took the students there because we wanted our students to have contact with Cubans without any sort of barrier of commerce or tourism. And boy, did they do a great job. They just threw themselves into the classes, into the acting classes, into the music classes, into the dance classes. They threw themselves into this, and at night when we would get together and we would eat with the Cory Macau people, we would dance with the Cory Macau people, even though our students had very limited Spanish, it didn't matter. They found common ground. They used hand gestures. They used photographs on their phone. They used whatever Spanish they had at their command. And I firmly believe that they made some powerful connections that remain to this day. The students, I know of students who are in touch with people at Cory Macau to this day.
Okay, my lips are currently numb because I accidentally put bug spray on my mouth, wiped my mouth. And so far I've learned that creativity is a universal language.
As we're at this precipice of change, especially between Cuba and the U.S. specifically, it's just been really incredible for me to experience that. It was great to meet local people who would be honest with us and tell us the truth about what's happening here, as opposed to what basically like the lies that we're being fed by what's going on right now.
I like being able to experience parts of Cuba that are not generally tourist attractions, because I don't think a lot of people come to Cory Macau as tourists, but that's not what we like for travelers.
There are very few things we're taught about Cuba, and it's been a really eye-opening experience to see the passion that a lot of people have in everything they do.
All of it's been so cool, but last night I was very pleasantly surprised by our interactions and how we were able to actually talk to the employees here, and we were able to actually like connect more than I thought we would. Like going into like, oh god, like, what is this party gonna turn out like? And we didn't want to leave when we had to. So that was really awesome.
And watching myself change through this trip, going from being also apprehensive about being with so many people that I don't really know and getting to know all of you, and then also overcoming that language barrier. It's just been really incredible. This trip as a whole has been really great, from horseback riding to snorkeling, but I think my favorite thing has been how welcoming and patient all of our parents, our host parents have been. They've just talked to us and made us laugh, made us feel comfortable because we're experiencing so many things that are way outside our comfort zone. It's nice to feel comfortable when you go back home.
Throwing yourself across cultural barriers when you don't know any Spanish, that's tough. But those were not the only hardships the students had to face. There are bugs, big bugs, all over the place all the time. So there are heat, there are bugs, there is no air conditioning at Cory Macau, and the students had to endure that. They had to be uncomfortable. They did that. They were not only willing to do it, they enjoyed doing it. They patted themselves on the back for having done it because they thought that it separated them from tourists who wanted to be comfortable all the time.
The smoke is coming up right in my face.
Look at all the bugs around here. So, what are you guys thinking of this dinner tonight?
I like
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. That's a protein, man.
Yeah.
Get a close up with the right.
Oh, and all the bugs.
Here, yeah.
Point them out.
This girl right there.
this girl. This is Betty.
Anything brown?
She's been with us since the beginning.
Betty White, man.
Nice, these guys.
Are we gonna have this footage?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a good one. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice, man.
You see her? Oh.
Just mix it in, nobody will notice. So to combat this, what we've done is we've put a burning egg carton under the table to make smoke.
Right between my legs.
Right between Nick's legs. And Nick, how do you feel about this? Yeah.
That's a burning egg carton.
Huh?
It's just a burning egg carton.
It's just a burning egg carton, yeah. And McKenna, I'm sorry. Wait, McKenna, can you turn around so everybody can see your poor bug?
Everybody at home?
Oh gosh.
Oh my god, McKenna. Let me see.
It's like on my forehead. I'm a unicorn.
Did you get that?
I'm a unicorn.
Wait, turn. Let me see your back.
The most gratifying thing for me about this trip, in addition to just sharing Cuba with a bunch of people I've come to care about and respect, really came toward the end. It was toward the end of the trip, and also when we got back from the trip, when we were back here in Boone. It became very clear to me, after talking with students in various contexts, that the students had internalized the very way of thinking Emily, Lori, and I were trying to teach them. They began to unpack their own lives and their own experiences. They began to examine their privilege and their way of life through the lens of Cuba. They began to see the Cubans not as hostile enemies, communists, militant communists and revolutionaries, and they didn't see the Cubans as objects of pity. They saw the Cubans as human beings who were having similar experiences and also very different experiences. I saw that when we got back, the students saw that their lives were different. They didn't stop with, oh, the world's so small and we're all so similar. They got to this point of, we're similar, we're different, and I'm kind of a different person now because I've realized that fact.
Besides the architecture and just the way that Cuba is, the looks and the smells, I was surprised at how nice people were and how really accepting they were and how much they actually cared specifically about Americans and American politics. Everybody I talked to was pretty up with what's going on in America. They know what's going on in Baltimore. They knew what was, the presidential election and all that kind of stuff. I imagine that would be their area of least, fluency, understanding like American politics and what's going on. Because I figured that it would have been just completely shut off from Cuban people, but that's not the case at all. They really are affected by what goes on. I spoke to a lot of people, Cuban people, about this. It's not one nationality of people that's bad. It's Chinese tourists, French tourists, American tourists, Canadian tourists. Tourism, being a tourist, you're just kind of floating around and you're in this mindset that you're like, oh, I'm here to have vacation and maybe look at some cool stuff. But if you're traveling, you're in the mindset that I want to learn everything about this country that I possibly can and absorb it and appreciate it for what it is and really, try to understand it as much as possible. And that's what, in any country that you go to, that's what the native people are going to want to see. That's what really means to them. It means a lot to them because, that's their country. That's the place that they love. And when you have people coming in that just have a lot of money, that are just trying to have a vacation and make everything set up the way they are, the way they want it to be, having, air-conditioned rooms, staying in a nice hotel, having drinks, having people move their luggage for them. That's not
we're all just throwing our bags in the trash. But I started thinking, it's actually probably really hard to come by because it's not like humans are buying stuff every day, you know? So I ended up gathering the bags and handing them to the lady at the Casa Particulares, our host, and she was like, oh, thank you so much, these are so valuable. And those kind of things just always really be thinking about that it's not a disposable society like we have in the US. Like it's not based on just, you know, buying and throwing stuff away. It's really about reusing things, making do with what you have. So while you're there, just be very vigilant.
When I felt most like a traveler was definitely at Corey Macau. And it was not when we were doing anything special. It was second night we were at Corey Macau, and we were eating dinner with them. And any meals that we had with the folks at Corey Macau really were when I felt like a traveler, because we weren't doing anything special. I mean, we weren't doing anything they weren't doing. We were just eating dinner together. We were all doing the same thing. We were on equal footing, per se. And there was nothing to do besides eat and talk to each other. And that's what we did. And that was when I felt like we were doing, when we were most like travelers.
Fresh cut grass, one cold beer. Thank the Lord, I am here and now. Here and now. Summer dress, favorite part. Bless your soul, we are here and now. Here and now. I'm wide awake, so what's the point of dreaming when your life is great? Celebrate the feeling, celebrate the feeling. Oh! Can't complain about much these days, I believe we'll be okay. Oh, 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 oh. Can't complain about much these days, I believe we'll be okay. Oh, 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 oh. We'll scream it out, I believe we'll be okay. Sun-kissed skin on my lips. Thank the Lord, I am here and now. Here and now. Fireflies after dark. Bless your soul, we are here and now. Here and now. I'm wide awake, so what's the point of dreaming when your life is great? Celebrate the feeling, celebrate the feeling. Oh! Can't complain about much these days, I believe we'll be okay. Oh, 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 oh. Can't complain about much these days, I believe we'll be okay. Oh, 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 oh. We'll scream it out, I believe we'll be okay. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. Can't complain about much these days, I believe we'll be okay. Oh, 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 oh. Can't complain about much these days, I believe we'll be okay. Oh, 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 oh. Can't complain about much these days, I believe we'll be okay. Oh, 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 oh. We'll scream it out, I believe we'll be okay.
Emily, Lori, and I are going to do this trip again, this program, this course again. We're going to take students to Cuba in May of 2016. There are a lot of changes we're going to make. However many changes we make, we are not going to make this change. We are not going to change anything about the challenge that we laid down to the students, which is be a traveler, not a tourist. We found not only are they up for that, not only can they be a traveler and not a tourist, they want to be. There's nothing better in the world than seeing students have that kind of transformation. That's what we're aiming for, and that's what I hope we're going to get our next time around.
Hay tanto que quiero contarte, hay tanto que quiero saber de ti. Ya podemos empezar poco a poco. Cuéntame qué te trae por aquí. No te asustes de decirme la verdad. Eso nunca puede estar así tan mal. Yo también tengo secretos para